having this vision. Either rise or you fall. I'm on a mission, bringing my dreams to fruition. I ain't playing at all. Bring out the body bags, I'm about to kill them, deliver them to the mortician. I gotta do what I gotta do. That's for my face, back in my face. I gotta do what I gotta do. I pray to God, he never came. I'ma do me, I'ma do me. That's in my blood, I'll never change. That's in my blood, I'll never change. That's in my blood, I'll never change.
You're watching the post show after the first day of competition, just second day of the waiting period. Here for the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. We went on hold this morning, but still accomplished 8 heats of the opening round before going on hold until tomorrow morning. That tide was filling in very quickly, so we always kind of figured we might be sitting back and taking a break for the rest of the evening. Joe Turpel with a world champ named Rabbit Bartholomew, longtime touring professional and competitor Laura Enever. Bugs, you kind of saw this coming when we were sitting on our green room a couple of heats ago. You're going, you know what? It's a matter of time before we go on hold. Spot on call, Bugs.
Well, we started out this morning, Joe, and it had that real high tide look about it. You could tell there was a swell hidden under that, but you know, Bells Beach is such a tidal break, and as it filled in this afternoon, what happened was that those medium-sized waves disappeared. Only the bomb sets would show, and there just wasn't enough of them.
Well, Laura, it's interesting. Sometimes you show up at the beach, you're always looking for clean offshore conditions. But how was the fun factor today watching the world's best compete with a little bit of wind on the face?
I loved it. When I rocked up this morning and saw a bunch of the surfs in the car park, they were all really excited. I was looking at it, and the same thing, was high tide, not many waves, but they all knew that there was that swell coming up the coast and that they were going to have really fun waves throughout the day. And how many of us have had our most favorite surfs when it's onshore, and you like find these like fun pockets, and that's what we saw today. Interesting
now with different locations as well. There's a lot of surfers that had a lot of fun at Winky Pop, you know, throughout the day today who weren't competing, like Tatiana Weston Webb had a blast. I'm feeling like Jesse will be probably looking at Winky Pop maybe for tomorrow morning as well.
Yeah, well, throughout the forecast when we looked at it, we said there's definitely some Winky Pop days in amongst it all. And, you know, it's a great wave too. It's the cousin of Bells Beach, and a world-class break in its own right.
Really cool to have so many venues on hand for this event. Well, last heat was won by a rookie who's been on fire. Jackson Baker is with Shannon.
Jackson Baker, what a moment, standing on the steps here at Bells, waiting to hear a score. If you're going to take out John Florence in a heat, you must be thrilled.
Oh yeah, it's a dream come true this whole year. I mean, the results haven't really gone there yet, but I mean, my surfing's feeling really good, my boards are feeling really good, so yeah, to get one back on John from pipe, I'm just stoked. But just to be in the water with someone like John and a good friend Connor, it was a cool experience.
Amazing. And how are you feeling being out here at Bells, filling out the lineup the last few days?
Well, that was my first time out Bells this trip so far, so but I've come down here a long time since I've been a kid, so I know the wave really well and know some local families. So Timmy Wright sent me a couple messages on my phone, and yeah, really got me in the right spots for those waves, and yeah, I'm stoked it paid off.
And we can't forget that you've just gone back to the QS and taken out a win at home at Newcastle. Congratulations, that is huge.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was such a cool experience just to be around my family and friends and everyone back home, and yeah, to be the first Novocastrian to do it, yeah, a dream come true. Like me and Ryan and everyone's been thinking about that for a long time, so it always happens when the pressure's off, and yeah, take that confidence down here.
Well, your name is in the history books there in Newcastle, and we can't wait to see it here in Bells as well.
Thank you very much.
We'll get back to you guys.
Thanks so much, Shannon. Bugs, I've heard you say this phrase before, a purple patch. And when an athlete gets on a roll and good things continue to head their way, Jackson Baker feels like that. From his first heat win up at Surf Fest at his home turf in Newcastle to winning that event in front of friends and family, he's connected that all the way down to Victoria at Bells Beach today.
Well, you know, Jackson was and ahhing. He was thinking about not going in Surf Fest, but when he came back from Portugal, he realised he hadn't had many heats. You know, he hadn't really got it going, and he needed some heats under his belt, and that momentum, you know, the confidence from just winning heat after heat after heat, and then, of course, taking out Surf Fest. He's brought that form down to Bells, and he's on a roll.
It's such an interesting thing, isn't it, Laura? As you've competed at the top of the world, you can't really you can try to create a mock heat, but the best prep you can have is putting on a jersey and letting your game plan play out. See how you're being scored by the top judges in the world as well. Jackson got to feel that he might go really far in this contest.
Totally. I mean, yeah, he has that momentum now, and like you said, you cannot just go out and you try to do these mock heats, but it's nothing like the real deal. And we usually do see so many of the competitors jump into these QSs, you know, back when the format and schedule was different before the CT, but they haven't been able to do that this year. They've been jumping straight into the World Tour events. But yeah, for Jacko to go do that in between events and bring that down here, yeah, I'm super excited to see where he takes it.
Let's really dive into some of the big stories of the day. I mean, a guy that's always on the headlines is a guy named Kelly Slater. He's 50 now. It's not just celebrating a lap around the world. He's #2 in the world heading into stop number 4.
Hello, man. Are you
Four-time Bells champ. Dealt with Owen Wright in this matchup. That was a classic to watch, along with another goofy foot named Nat Young. How'd you like this one playing out, Rabbit?
Well, first of all, Owen really needs a result. He's just had a very spluttering start to the year, and he came out on fire. This was a super tough heat. Here's the 11-time world champion. And, wow, he's brought some great form to the Bells. He's only just arrived. There was a big question mark. Is Kelly Slater even going to be here in Australia? Yes, he is.
And he looked really solid going head-to-head with some of the bigger scores. Owen had a 7, Kelly had a 7. Laura, there's a lot of people saying, hey, maybe he can't win on turns. He has to focus on the barreling venues on tour. Can we throw that behind us now? Because he looked pretty sharp this morning.
100% we can throw that behind him. He's looking spicy and fast. And yeah, it was just Owen just had that better wave selection, I think, in the end, and picked off those gems that had the really solid outside the sections. So, I mean, it was, yeah, super exciting heat.
Yeah, Owen is in a very crazy position in his career. He's sitting so far back on the rankings. He knows that this is stop 4, and he's got 5 at Margaret River to try to survive the midseason cut. Really rare that you'd ever think that Owen Wright would be in the situation he is in at the moment, but a solid victory. Kelly right behind him moves to the round of 32, and a former finalist at Bells, Nat Young, will be dealing with the elimination round. But solid form for Kelly. He looks very inspired, and there's some really young, fired-up energy coming out of him. Like you said, still severely jet-lagged and putting on a great performance today.
Well, he looked in fine fettle. You know, I mean, he's just coming out of the Oscars, and we saw him on TV, and now he's here at Bells Beach. And surfing incredible. For Owen, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, nothing narrows your focus like necessity, and he surfed with that intent today.
I guess there's this really cool story now. You know, Kelly being 50, Mick Fanning being 40, and getting a wild card, and it's exactly how he started at Bells. Won in 2001, a young, skinny kid that beat Danny Wills in the final, and now he's back, 40 years of age, a father now, and I think we're all lucky because we didn't know if he'd ever come back to the Jersey. Laura, today he had his hands full with 2 solid Brazilians, Felipe Toledo and Sammy Pupo.
He did. I was out there for this heat, and I think he might have either thought the heat hadn't started or was a little bit too deep for the first wave that Sammy got here, because he was about 15 metres in, like, across from him, and I thought he was going to go, but he let Sammy go this. He opened up with a 7.5, and Mick just couldn't find a clean wave or a big enough wave that gave him these sections that Sammy could get. So I think he, like, obviously knew that he just wanted a wave like that, and he missed it at the start of the heat and couldn't really get going. But
and such a huge win for Sammy Pupo. This is a rookie on tour. He's got Mick Fanning, the all-time great at Bells. He has that. And also Toledo, who in my mind I think should be the favorite to win this event this year. Interesting to see Felipe drop underneath Pupo. But what's the big story as well, Rabbit, with Mick Fanning really not being on the best waves of this heat? That's so rare to say next to Mick Fanning's name.
Well, it really is, John. I mean, to Laura's point, I mean, it really came down to that wave of Samuel Pupo, that first wave. It was a brilliant ride, and Mick seemingly was in position to get it, and he let it go. That's very uncharacteristic. And now Mick will be surfing for a bit of pride in that next round.
Yeah, no one really saw Fanning ending up in the elimination round, a 3.4 and a 3.33. But for Pupo, you can see the smile on the graphic. That's what he's feeling right now. One of his favorite heat wins of his young career, just at stop number 4 of the season. Toledo also moving on into the round of 32 as more heats were getting set up throughout the day. The other topic is always with the yellow jersey. How is that going to feel for a surfer? Is it going to bring a lot of pressure? Is it going to feel like 100 pounds? Or are they going to get more confident? I feel like Kanoa Igarashi has always been preparing for this moment in his life, and I think it's danger signs for the rest of the top 34, Laura.
Yeah, I think so. Even listening to his post-heat interview, which I'm sure we'll see soon, he just seemed like, you know, he's like, this is all of my life's work, you know, in this moment, wanting to be in a yellow jersey like all of the best, all my heroes are. And so I think for him, he's pinching himself, but he's also running with it. And he's like, I want to win a world title this year.
That's right. Kanoa Igarashi was in the water with Luca Messinas, a rookie on tour. It's actually one of Kanoa's good friends, and also a local wild card, Tully Wiley, getting the win in the trials to surf in the main event. But it was all about Kanoa. 907, 717. His lead really was never messed with this entire heat, Bugs.
No, he looked at his comfort zone from the very word go. This wave here just really highlights just how comfortable he is. When you're ready to walk in the shoes of the world champion, well, you've got to be ready to walk in the boots of the yellow jersey leader. And Kanoa Igarashi looks in such a comfort zone. This was the wave of the day and the combined heat score of the day, and he looks in fine form. He's
got a great relationship with Bells. So great to see a local standout from Janjuk, Tully Wiley, opening up with some big hooks. This was a 6.93 that everyone wanted him to lay down. I was sitting next to Cale Bell Warren, Adam Robinson, these big local names. They just said, we just want to see him connect. A few minutes went by, he got the 6.93 to show what he's capable of. And Luca Messinas was able to save second to avoid the elimination round. We will see Wiley deal with the elimination round later on this event, and Kanoa is just looking so dangerous heading into the round of 32, Laura.
Yeah, he is. Wow, like 9 and a 7 to go out there in the yellow jersey and do that. Incredible. And yeah, Wiley, an amazing showing by him so far. He'll be taking that form into round 2 and keep being Wilco-esque. And he's got an amazing cheer squad down here. They were so loud, the loudest we've seen. Yeah,
it's great to see that little local story. I mean, you remember when Adam Robertson made the final against Joel Parkinson? That's a really special part of Bells Beach history, Bugs.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, they've got such a strong surfing community down here, and there's always these local kids coming through. And, you know, Tully's just come off a really good result in Surfest. I think he got a 3rd or a 5th, and, you know, he's had a ton of heats under his belt, and he had to beat some hot young kids to even get this wild card, so it's earned.
Well, a big part of the post show is looking at the best wave of the day. It's the Boost Mobile wave of the day, and you just saw it a moment ago. It goes to Kanoa Igarashi, and a 9.07 was thrown down for this big performance. Laura, what was your favorite part about it?
Oh, just his timing. Look at that. That carve is just amazing. His boards are looking absolutely incredible, and yeah, just the way he's able to throw his fins and connect the dots. Look at that. He just want to push him off, and I think he wouldn't even fall. Like, he's so stuck on his feet.
It's interesting when someone wears yellow and they're having a year like you are. Kanoa's best result at Bells is a 9th. He's never made finals day, but he's just his approach, his confidence. It feels like he's going to be on the podium again. He's got that kind of momentum behind him, Bugs, coming into stop 4.
Well, he's number 1. I mean, he's got 2 5ths and a 2nd. And a podium finish would not surprise me at all. In that kind of form he's got now, the variety he had on that wave, the speed, I love that fading bottom turn. It was unbelievable.
Oh, that rail line is brilliant, and that comes from just years and years of practice here at Bells, well before he qualified for the tour. Much more to come on the post show. We won't be seeing Connor Coffin next. He's going to be on hold for maybe first heat tomorrow morning. Up next on the post show, top 5 moments. We'll see you then.
We're here at Rip Curl Planet Day, and today we're working with a number of local community groups.
The group is planting 250 sedges and rushes, and their aim is that they'll filter the stormwater of nutrients and rubbish before it enters the ocean.
We're standing here in Spring Creek Valley, restoring the grassy woodland with this little tree, which is the Ballerine yellow gum.
This is a site that's been revegetated quite a while ago, but it keeps getting weed invasion from grasses and particularly the angled onion.
Weed management's one of those things that if you don't stay on top of it, it'll get away from you, and that's where groups like Rip Curl come in handy with Planet Day. It actually makes jobs like this possible.
It just so expedites the whole process of revegetation when we've got a keen group of people that are coming down with us.
It's one of my favourite days of the year, you know. It's fantastic to be able to give back to the community.
My favourite part is getting out of the office and connecting with crew that I don't usually work close to.
It gets you away from the keyboard, it helps you just kind of reconnect, different change of perspective.
Contributing to where I live.
And actually learning about what actually is in our backyard.
This is my 20th Planet Day.
However many years it's been going, -2, and that's probably it.
It's been 21 years that Rip Curl has been running our Planet Day, and that just goes to show how connected it is to our company and brand values. Our company value of community and environment, you know, it's all about acting locally and thinking globally about how we can contribute to the community we live in and the environment that we live in. Here in Australia, we have spent 3,500 days planting 100,000 trees, and the biggest highlight is that out of those 100,000 trees, we have an 80% long-term survival rate.
And that's just the start of what's been achieved with the Rip Curl Planet Day.
It means that community has been able to greatly expand our expectation of what we can achieve in any given year.
This makes a real difference to try and improve the quality of these areas so they're not deteriorating over time with urban pressures and increased development around the coast.
And I really take my hat off, I guess, to businesses like Rip Curl who are able to provide that certainty year after year after year.
The future of Planet Day is that it's absolutely here to stay. We love it and we want to see more people involved, so we're going to expand it to ensure that all of our Rip Curl regions and licensees participate, our suppliers, our customers, our athletes. I really look forward to seeing it bigger and better every year.
Rip Curl, the ultimate surfing company, absolutely cares about this special surf coast. It was great to hear from CEO Brooke Ferris and all the other Rip Curl employees that all help out on their annual Planet Day. That's been going on for 21 years. They average about 170 staff members that work with environmental groups to make this coastline absolutely incredible. And Bugs, you've been here to Bells way longer than anybody else, and this coastline is looking pristine. It feels like it does get better every single year.
Well, firstly, you know, Bells Beach, the locals they've led the way in conservation. They showed us, they were the role models on how to conserve the local pristine coastal environment. And Rip Curl's been part of it from day one, and you know, I salute them, and it's so important, and it is such a pristine, beautiful part of our coastline.
Such a great message, Laura. Obviously, being surfers, our favorite playground is nature and being in the ocean, but also what surrounds it on land affects the waves, affects our lives. And great to see a brand so involved in the local community.
It is, and I love that, you know, they're trying to get everyone involved around the world, Planet Day everywhere, for everyone to get out and do their part. You know, we love the ocean. We want to keep it as clean as possible, and yeah, educating us on how important it is to look after the land surrounding the ocean so that, you know, everything that comes into the ocean is just as clean and nice.
Oh, so cool. Well, let's talk forecast, courtesy of Surfline, because this was just our first day of competition. 8 heats complete for the opening round for the men. We still have to get started for the women and also finish that opening round with heat number 9. Surfline has shown us the new southwest swell with Wednesday having some issues with the wind. improving closer to the weekend, Thursday, Friday. So we're looking forward to that cleaner wind direction. As we know, onshore still really fun here at the Bells Bowl. As we saw what we had today, 3 to 4 foot surf in the morning, building throughout the day, and that slow build. The only reason we had to stop was because of that real massive high tide. But Bugs, this is what we got later on in the week.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking promising, Joe. I mean, the wind is a factor, but, you know, the wind's not such a factor as it used to be. You know, the surfers use the wind now in all kinds of innovative ways.
Yeah, really cool that Surfline's letting us know that we could be just having back-to-back days of running up into the weekend. Laura, as a longtime competitor here at Bells, how do you prepare for possible changes of venue? You know, if you're thinking about the bowl, the next day you could be at Winky Pop. How do you manage that?
Totally. I think, you know, speaking to so many of the competitors up in the car park, I mean, they've all been here, a lot of them for weeks, and they even said today was one of the best days that they've had for conditions, so they were all frothing to get out there. Wind or not, they were just like, yes, we've got the bowl, let's go. I think they've been spending a lot of time at Winky and just getting to know that. So many of the rookies from this year and last year when we didn't have the event here, you know, are coming down for the first time. So they're getting the run through of all the spots and, yeah, where to sit, where to line up, and just getting to know this beautiful part of the world.
So cool. One thing that's very beautiful to watch at Bells is the bottom turn. The maneuver that starts it all, as that leads us into the top 5 moments of the day. Bugs loves a good bottom turn. He taught us all how to do it years back. Something about Bells where you really get to enjoy it, maybe sometimes more than other venues.
Yeah, the bottom turn is such an amazing part of surfing Bells. If you got to pick a wave that's got a bottom on it. But I mean, you know, when you think all the way back to, like, you know, the Tommy Curran bottom turn. I saw part of that today with Kanoa, and of course Kelly had such a, you know, Tommy had such an influence on Kelly surfing as well. You know, I do think that was look, that bottom turn there is so deep. Holds that rail. I love the fade going into it. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, it's such an important mover. Every wave around the world, but especially here at Bells Bowl. Coming in number 4 on the daily top 5. Owen Wright's performance. Keep his fight alive to survive the mid-season cut.
I love it. I think Owen has turned up here, and I've seen him around the contest site, and he looks on. He knows he's got nothing to lose. In a sense, he's got everything to lose, but he's like, I'm going for this now. And he's got a connection here, and he was able to go out there. He looks amazing on his feet. His boards look so fast and sparky, and yeah, he put on a performance for that first heat.
Stop for the season, just his 3rd heat win of 2022.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of work he's got ahead of him at this event. Bugs, I mean, he's got to be thinking a must-win situation. He's got to be at the podium at the end of this event.
Look, Owen's arrived with a lot of intention, and I mean, you know, in the past he's had slow starts, but he's had all year to get his act together. This time it's on now. He's got to do it right here at Bells.
Number 3 on the top 5, the return of Mick Fanning. Maybe his start wasn't like he planned, as he wasn't really able to get some big scores, but the energy lifts when he's around. He's the greatest Bells surfer of all time on the men's side, Laura.
He is, and he was out there first in the lineup yesterday when it was like 1 foot in the dark, and I appreciate that. He's here, he means business. He didn't find the waves today, and he obviously knows that. He, you know, wouldn't be stoked with that first round performance, but you know, he's going to have to fight and get back next round and keep it exciting for us and him.
Certainly does. Fanning has 4 bells along with Mark Richards, Kelly Slater. They're tied, but when you look at heat winning percentage, he's got the best and the best track record when you really look at the last decade with consistency in big finals. So great to have him back as a wild card. As we look at more exciting action, the number 2 on the daily top 5, John Florence kept things loose and fun in his matchup. Didn't get the win over Jacko Baker, but he looks sharp today, Bugs.
John looks really sharp out here, and this is one of the last heats that really slowed down, the last heat of the day. And John has still found ways, and you know, I just love the way he attacks every section. He knows this wave really well. He's got a lot of big weapons in his arsenal, and I think John's going to be a contender here this year.
Great to see John just ripping the ball. Remember, he was the last guy that won this event in 2019. So after a few years off, he's trying to defend that Bells title that he accomplished in real big conditions. We know when it's gigantic, he's going to look sharp, but he looked really, really talented today in chunkier conditions. And then taking number 1 in the top 5, it goes to the rookie, taking down some giants today, named Felipe Toledo and Mick Fanning, Laura.
Wow, yeah, I was out there for this heat, and this was a cracker start. Sammy, I saw him a few days ago, and this is his first time ever down here. He was one of the rookies I was talking about, and to come out of the gates like this against Felipe and Mick, 7-5 and another amazing backup, he shut it down, and it's a lot of confidence to go into the next round.
There's kind of been that theme with him, Laura, this year, where he didn't know what to expect at pipe and started packing some big bombs. It almost feels like he's loose in that kind of scenario where he has no expectations.
Totally. It must be the no expectation thing, because we saw him at pipe, and yeah, he did the same thing. First time competing there, made it to the finals, and yeah, he could do it here.
I almost was thinking maybe at Bells we'd have kind of a return of the experienced athlete kind of take top honors at a wave like this. It's still not going to that plan, as we're seeing rookies get wins from Jackson Baker, winning over John Florence, to Sammy Pupo over Fanning and Toledo. Looks like that youth brigade still marching on very strong, Bugs, at stop number 4.
Well, the youth brigade's here, but also the necessity. I mean, everyone you mentioned there needs a result. I mean, you know, Samuel's on that, he's just on that inside of that dreaded bubble at number 18. And there's Leo's just outside. I mean, all these young guys just surf so well today, but they're the ones who need a result.
And also looking at the cut line for the women as well, Laura, you're close to so many competitors on tour. There feels like there's a bit of nervous energy in the air. It's coming into stop number 4. Would you agree with that? Have you felt it from some of your friends?
100%. Just seeing everyone around, I mean, you know, people that are at the bottom that you would never usually expect to be there are, you know, needing results. But, you know, even seeing Sally and you know, the Owens and Steph and Courtney around, they're all, you know, needing these, something special to happen here. And, you know, they're showing up with like a really good attitude. And I think that's what it's going to take. You know, you can't be here and just be scared. And like we saw from Owen today, he went for it, and you got to go for it in those situations. And that's what we love about the cut. I'm sure the athletes, you know, it's that stress builder, but to see how they all react and what they can turn it into, it's going to make for some incredible competing and competition this week.
Also feeling it at Bells. You know, Bells is usually early in the year. It has been an opening event in the past, and now it has this crazy pressure where we might be saying some goodbyes to some competitors at the next stop, number 5. So it's given us a whole new feeling of pressure early in the season, Bugs.
Well, it's a whole new thing. I mean, it has happened before, but now, at least with the pathway, you know, there is a Challenger Series to fall back upon, but everyone wants to stay on the CT, because after Margaret's, they go to beautiful G-Land. You know, you want to be there for G-Land.
100%.
Hey, Challenger Series goes to Snapper, so you don't want that because you want to be getting the bombs out there, but you'll be there cheering them on.
A lot to break down this year. Some really cool changes, but it's going to be pretty scary for a lot of our field, making every heat so important to watch. Join us tomorrow morning for the next call as we continue with the men's opening round or the beginning of the women's round of competition at the Rip Curl Bells Beach. Have a good evening. See you bright and early. Good morning and welcome to the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach here on this beautiful Victorian coastline.
Legendary event. The swell's filling in, the tide's dropping out, and it's on.
Hard off the bottom, our cow drifts it.
Just throwing that back arm. The paranoid man hiding in the shelter. You better watch right, we don't care what's right. You're dealing with a boss type, get caught in the crossfire. When I bust Mike, it's march time. Bring out the dogs time, get caught in the crossfire. You better watch right, we don't care what's right. You're dealing with a boss type, get caught in the crossfire. When I bust Mike, it's march time. Bring out the dogs time, get caught in the crossfire.
This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.